Hello dear students, I, Dr. Mamta Bansal, Assistant Professor, Environmental Sciences, School of Basic and Applied Sciences, Maharaja Agassiz University, is going to discuss very important topic, natural resources, and special emphasis on forest as a resource. So first of all, we should know what are natural resources. So variety of goods and services provided by the nature that benefit living organisms. For example, water, air, coal, wood, crops, wildlife, forest, sunlight, and many more. So if we discuss what are the various types of resources, so we can describe into two different types. One is renewable resources and one is non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are inexhaustible resources which can be generated again and again and again, and they are never ended. For example, sunlight, it is never ended. Forest, wildlife, biomass energy, tidal energy, hydropower, etc. And when we discuss non-renewable resources, they are exhaustible in nature and they cannot be regenerated and they finish very easily. For example, fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, and minerals. So now we see what are the major natural resources. So major resources are forest, water, mineral, food, energy, and land resources. And today I am going to discuss forest resources in detail. So with forest resources, forests provide prosperity to human beings and to the nations. They are regarded as very important natural resource. Forests provide us both goods and ecosystem services. And what is the meaning of good and ecosystem services? We will discuss in further slides. So today focus will be on what is the history of forestry, what are the various uses of forest, what are the various threats posed to the forest, what are the forest conservation practices, and what are the community participation. So starting with history of forestry, and I will discuss one by one. And number one, ancient and medieval India. Before the 5th century AD, cutting of trees was prohibited. The Kautilya Arthashastra, written in modern period, also discussed that there is a need of forest administration and management. And that time, forests were regarded as very important component for the successful kingdom. And when colonial system arises, British government, they cleared vast land of forest for cultivation of crops and plantations similar to those in Africa and America, wherein abundant exploitation of natural resources and people was done. But after independence from 1947 to 1990, in 1952, the government nationalized the forest, which was earlier with jamidars. Government also nationalized most of the forest wood industry and non-wood forest products industry. That time, many rules and regulations also established by government, which included National Forest Policy in 1988. And if we see after 1990, and in India, forest cover increased. Food and Agricultural Organization ranks India amongst the 10 countries with the largest forest area coverage in the world in 2010. And the other 9 are Russian Federation, Brazil, Canada, America, China, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Australia, Indonesia, and Sudan. So now if we see forest survey data, what forest survey data says. So in our country, Madhya Pradesh carry the largest forest cover, which is around 77,000 square kilometer area. And second being Arunachal Pradesh, it covers second largest forest area, which is 66 square kilometer, and rest are Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Maharashtra, which carry 50 to 55 square kilometer area under forest cover. So I am sharing few pictures which are very beautiful, and they show how our forest cover is increased and how they look. This is the forest, protected forest in One Vihar National Park in Madhya Pradesh. This picture shows Norangna Falls on the way of Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh, which is the second largest forest cover in India. This picture shows Chhattisgarh and Odisha, which are other major forest covered states of India. This is the elephants in Chandaka forest in Odisha. This picture shows the Western Ghat, and this is the Kudramukh National Parks in Karnataka. So this India map shows the green area as forest cover in India in 2019. And here we can clearly see the northern part, eastern part of Arunachal Pradesh and Western Ghats, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha carry the most of the green area. So what is forest cover? How we can identify it? How we can define it? Let's see about it. Forest cover. It is defined as all the land more than 1 hectare in area with the tree canopy density of more than 10%. So we can categorize forest in different heads. For example, very dense forest. What is the meaning of very dense forest? It means the area which is covered with canopy density of 70% and above. Second being moderately dense forest with the forest cover with canopy density of 40 to 70%. Next, we see open forest. Here, in this area, the forest cover with canopy density is only 10 to 40%. Other being mangrove cover, they are the special forest with the salt tolerance forest ecosystem found mainly in tropical and subtropical coastal and or intertidal regions. Scrub cover, all land generally in and around forest areas having bushes and or poor tree growth. So what are the forest types? India is one of the 7 mega biodiverse regions of the world. Indian forest types include tropical evergreen, tropical deciduous, swamps, mangroves, scrub, subalpine and alpine forests. So in India, maximum area covered by tropical deciduous dry forest, which is around 40%, and other being tropical moist deciduous forest, which is around 20%, and rest 40% are other forest area. So if we see biodiversity in forest, we have seen in previous slide, India is one of the major biodiverse region in the world. Indian forests are the home to some of the earth unique flora and fauna also. India is home to 12% of world's recorded flora, 7% of earth's faunal species, 12.5% species of birds. Here, flora means plant species and fauna means animal species. So we discuss little about flora and fauna, the number of species. There are 47,000 species of flowering and non-flowering plants. There are 17,000 species of angiosperms. There are above 59,000 species of insects. There are 2,500 species of fishes, about 90,000 animal species, and in that 4,000 are mammal species. So here again I am showing very beautiful pictures of some species. This is first picture shows spotted owlet, one of over 1,000 bird species in Indian forest. Other is Asian paradise flycatcher. It is a bird found in the forest of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. This is very beautiful Nicobar pigeon. It is found in Andaman and Nicobar Island, and it is endangered species of among the bird. This is white tiger. They are also remain very less in numbers. Other is Asian golden cat, one of the 15 feline species found in India. Now we will see what are the uses of forest. What can be various uses of forest? They are endless, but for the sake of convenience, I am classified into 3 different types: commercial values, ecological values, and aesthetic values. So first we will see commercial uses. There are various products and services which are provided by the forest, and in commercial uses there are industrial wood and fuel wood, and there are non-wood products. Means forest give us both wood and non-wood products. Here we will discuss few examples of wood and non-wood products. Number one, timber, fuel, food, spices, seeds, honey, medicines, rubber, pickle, biodiesel, plywood. They are the only few examples. So we have seen that forests provide fiber, food, edible oils and drugs. And forest land is used for agriculture and grazing. Forest is also used for development of dams, recreation activities and research. So now we will see a little about ecosystem services which is provided by the forest. Number one is the production of oxygen. The forests are regarded as the lungs on the earth, as our lungs give us fresh oxygen, purify air. In the same way, the forest also purify air and give us fresh oxygen. It reduces the global warming. Forest is the habitat for many wildlife. Forest regulate hydrological cycles. Forest also helps to conserve soil. Forest also act as pollution moderators. So aesthetic values, it is also very important aspect because forests are very beautiful. All over the world, people admire, appreciate the beauty and tranquility of the forest. Forest provides opportunity for recreation, activity and research. Forests are the center for tourism also. As we all know, nowadays there are farmhouses built in the forest, and anybody can go there to relax themselves, and they can stay in that farmhouses within the jungle itself. So it is very important to know how we destruct the forest, how the forests are being destructed. So there are various ways via which forests are damaged. Number one, there are commercial uses. There are more and more construction work in the forest, intentional fire. There is more mining practices in the forest. There are more and more agriculture, which is known as nowadays shifting agriculture practices. There are more hydropower projects within the forest, and there are grazing activity going in the forest. So if these all activities are going in the forest and the forests are highly impacted, so we can see the various impact of deforestation. Number one, erosion of topsoil. When deforestation is there, the topsoil is being eroded. There are more floods and more droughts. There is loss of livelihood of local communities. There is extinction of plants and animals. There is local climate change and global warming enhanced when there is more deforestation practices. So now we see what are the impact of dams on forest. This is one example I will discuss in detail. Dams are responsible for the destruction of vast amount of forest. For example, degradation of catchment areas, loss of flora and fauna, disturbances in forest ecosystem, rehabilitation, and resettlement of tribal people. So there are many big dams in India in forest areas. India has more than 1,550 large dams and maximum dams in Maharashtra region, which is around 600. Gujarat has more than 250 dams and Madhya Pradesh having 130 dams. So the highest dam is the Tehri Dam over river Bhagirathi in Uttarakhand, and the largest dam is Bhakra Nangal Dam on river Satluj in Himachal Pradesh. So the main question arises how we can conserve our most important natural resource. So there are certain practices, there are certain management via which we can conserve our forest. Number one, afforestation and reforestation practices. Afforestation means planting new trees in new area, in bare area. And reforestation means planting new trees in already forested area, which is deforested by the help of earthquake or other human activities. So government are making more protective reserves like national parks and sanctuaries, and India is having national parks around 103 and sanctuaries 544. So these are still, there are a scope of making more national parks and sanctuary. It covers only 5% of the forest, total forest cover of India. So there is a more chances, more plan to making more national parks and more sanctuaries. So it is very important nowadays, it is being practices two important management, joint forest management and social forestry. In both the system, local communities are also involved. Joint forest management is introduced in 1980, where social forestry is introduced in 1976. In both the system, local communities are involved in planning the conservation programs. Example of joint forest management is Tamil Nadu afforestation project, and example of for social forestry is plantation of eucalyptus tree. So I am going to discuss one famous example in the field of forest conservation. This is Chipko movement. I hope it is known to everyone who is studying natural resources and environment. In this, Sundarlal Bahuguna and Gora Devi took the action to conserve the forest in Garhwal village of Uttarakhand. This movement started in 1970. In this movement, residents of that area embraced to stick to Chipko means chipakna in Hindi, to trees to prevent the cutting of trees. So there is one more practice, efficient use of wood. So paper made from natural fibers and agriculture residues. So many countries are also planning to make 60% of its paper from tree-free pulp. In India, many publication houses also using eco-friendly paper to make their copybooks. So recommendations for conservation of forest are stop destruction of forest as far as it is possible, and use of many other sustainable forest management approaches, research, training and awareness program, proper planning for the whole landscape, and not the forest in isolation. So there are the certain laws which is related with the conservation of forest in India. Indian Forest Act 1927, Forest Conservation Act 1980, Environment Protection Act 1986, Biological Diversity Act 2002, the Scheduled Tribe and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Right Act 2006, Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act 2016. So there are the few references which I have used to make this presentation, and the take-home message is forests are precious natural resources. Destruction of forests should be checked by planting more trees. Joint forest conservation practices are required. Thank you so much.